here is the perfect representation of Democrats not taking ownership over this unimaginably popular bipartisan idea amongst the base of support, and a right-wing grifter taking advantage of that messaging vacuum. Tucker Carlson versus the Economist.
Clearly, I think you and I agree. We have both been critical of the Israeli government. I just want to kind of clarify terms a bit here.
Well, I've really been critical.
Tucker taking a second there to be like, do I say it? Yeah, I'm going to say it. Like, you can just see, because it's like a 98 mile per hour fastball, middle of the strike zone. Like, come on, lady. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Your editors were caping for Israel immediately after October.
I've told you at the beginning that we were against this war.
What do you think of Gaza?
What do I think of Gaza?
Yeah.
I think the war in Gaza, to start with, was a perfectly reasonable response in response to the horrors of October 7th. I think now the places, I've been there. Have you been to Gaza? I've been to Gaza since the war started.
They would not
it's
let
catastrophic.
me into Gaza. Trust me, very few journalists get into Gaza.
Yeah, no, I went with the IDF. It's the only way that you can go in, but nonetheless you go in and you see a flattened place. I think it is a disaster for the future of Israel, a disaster for the Palestinian people, a horror, 70,000 people dead.
Why would you describe it first as a disaster for the future of Israel?
Oof, such a good
tens of thousands.
That's a bar. Like, this kind of is endlessly appealing to the average person because they understand it. They understand what's going on. They already had their suspicions, many of which would have been considered anti-Semitic. These suspicions would have been considered anti-Semitic not that long ago. But now it's the majority suspicion, right? It's the majority opinion. It's the majority suspicion. And it's correct. It's correct to raise that question, to be like, why do you say Israel first? Oh, it's a disaster for Israel? Tough titties. Would you say World War II was a disaster for the Nazi Germany project first before you have a conversation about like the Holocaust, before you talk about the real victims? It's ridiculous, right?
Thousands of civilians murdered, but it's foremost a disaster for the future of
Israel.
Israel. No, it's foremost a disaster for the families of the dead kids.
Absolutely. I made 3 points.
Because everybody sucks up to Israel in this way that suggests they're afraid. And everyone is afraid, and you know that. Everyone's like, the real problem is calling people anti-Semites allows real anti-Semites to flourish. It's like, no, actually, the real problem with calling people anti-Semites who aren't is accusing the innocent of a crime they didn't commit. And the real crime in Gaza is killing people who did nothing wrong. So those are the real problems, I would say. But no one can say it because you have to be like, oh, no, but really, October 7th
I don't know what you're talking about, Hasan. We're having a...
Everyone watching this knows what I'm talking about.
It's true. Yep. It's true. Like, he's cooking. He's absolutely cooking, okay? It's ridiculous. And it's one of those things where in the room, you might think, depending on the rooms that you are in, you might think, oh, you're saying the right things for the watchers of the Economist, right? But in the outside world, this video is going to be published. And when people see this video, they're not going to agree with you. They're not going to look at you as like a person who actually is doing a great job holding, Tucker Carlson to account. This shit's going to go viral.
Because there is, by the way, like where you could have a dialogue with Tucker Carlson about how, hey, listen, you talk about all this stuff and you talk such a huge game about how much you hate Israel. And yet, like, you go to the White House, you still have a relationship with the people whom you condemn as like being handmaidens.
The number one antidote, the number one counter for the likes of Tucker is literally to say, you've been very critical of the ethnic supremacy that Israel represents, and yet you've spent an entire lifetime making similar arguments about making America the exact ethnic enclave that you want to design it as, where you talk about legacy Americans.
I mean, I think
he has no answer for that. Like, because these guys at the end of the day want Israel, but for their in-group in America.
Also, I would add one other piece to that too, which is that they want Israel for their own in-group, but that they know that the only way that they can get to that, like at this moment, like right now, because this is the most visible thing about Tucker's politics right now. And when I hear from people anecdotes about family members who are getting turned on to some weirder political takes, let's say, a lot of it does come through like this exact, like libs love the phrase like radicalization pipelines and sort of figurative language like that to describe what's going on. But I mean, like, this is how it happens because somebody like him is able to, like essentially speed run past these contradictions because they recognize the incredible. I mean, like this is low hanging fruit. This is the easiest issue on which you can outflank the political establishment, no matter what side you're on.
Especially because my big fear is that Tucker Carlson is actually winning favor with liberals. He's not actually winning favor with the Republicans. Like, there are still Republicans who respect him, right? They might have a disagreement with him on Israel, but they still respect him nonetheless. And those Republicans might actually play ball if Tucker Carlson is the next candidate, right? Because maybe they place a higher degree of priority on like making America a WASP nationalist country, which is Tucker Carlson's primary purpose here. And what's terrifying about this is he's actually reaching to the other side of the aisle and winning favor as an earnest communicator against Israel at a time when the National Party is not doing that, because there is unfortunately a massive information and leadership vacuum on the issue of Israel, okay, on the Democratic Party side. This is a huge problem, and I don't think people are recognizing that this is a huge problem. It's very frustrating. Those liberals aren't liberals because you don't know who Tucker Carlson is at this point. I don't know what to tell you. Brother, I think you're oblivious to how little people pay attention. This is a highly clippable, highly salient, very viral moment. They see that, and that's all they know about Tucker Carlson, and that's it. And the only reason why Tucker Carlson gets to be this guy, the only reason why he gets to be this person is because, unfortunately, in spite of the fact that this is a 90 to 10% issue on the Democratic base of support, the party is not acting like it's a 90-10 issue. Okay, that's it. When Chuck Schumer comes out and says, like, my primary purpose is to defend Israel, I'm going to make sure that Israel gets all the funds it needs to continue waging its war at a time when Americans are totally aware of what's going on in terms of Israel taking the driver's seat on our Middle Eastern policy. It's the Democratic Party is not even leaning into their own base. They are.
And also, like,
Tucker's
like asking questions. So it's like, is Tucker Carlson a Zionist? Like, we literally, the Gavin Newsom, that's essentially what he's, he got asked more similar questions by Politica, where he talks about how he is a Zionist or whatever. And I think that, like, if you're going to do the split screen of how politicians in the Democratic Party, how high profile figures are responding in this moment, it, like, it hews closer to the Gavin Newsom side of the spectrum, where it's like halting criticism of the state of Israel combined with an affirmation in the an affirmation of the underlying ideology for it. And I think for somebody like Tucker Carlson, it just seems extremely clear. Oh my God, that is wild.
Tucker Carlson has a minus 27% approval
I did not
rating.
realize it was that negative.
Nick Fuentes has a minus 6%. What the
Okay, but
fuck?
look at the name. That's not, you can't do Nick Fuentes.
Clavicular has a minus 2% because they don't have name recognition.
They've
chatters.
none. The Tucker Carlson thing,
am I on this list? I'm surprised that they didn't put me on this list, considering that they. Zohran Mamdani's only at +1. That's crazy.
what's the source for this?
I don't know.
Yeah, James Fishback at an 11 to 7 plus 4.
Yeah. What is this? National polling by TPSI official. Jeffrey Epstein is at a +12 approval. Wait, what?
No, that's a lie. He's down. He's the negative 70.
He has a 12% approval.
But that's what I mean. I mean, I like these kinds of polls.
Nah,
to me
this
always.
poll's. There's no shot. There's no shot.
I mean, directionally, I think that there's a lot of truth to it. But that's kind of it.
Yeah, no shot. 12% approval for Jeffrey Epstein. Look two above Zohran. Charlie Kirk at +3. Yeah, get the out of here. This and James Fishback has a higher approval. Aiden Ross has a higher approval than Zohran Mamdani. Yeah, this poll sucks dick, brother.
I like 50 public figures. They don't have 50. Also, I love who's in this that's a politician. Gretchen Whitmer.
Ben Shapiro at +8. Kai
Mark
Cenat at +9.
Mark Levin at +7 is pretty funny.
Yeah, no, this is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous poll. Throw
Pete
it in
Buttigieg.
Was this polled in Tel Aviv? Yeah. This poll coming to you straight out of Tel Aviv, baby.
It's yeah, because that actually is like Netanyahu.
It's the best poll. You are an anti-Semite if you do not like this poll.
Listen, in Israel, sometimes we have a poll. I mean, he does. I actually realized last night how much Netanyahu sounds like Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, and he also behaves like him too, so it's perfect.
Step out of your car, sir.
Yeah.
the Palestinians
Epstein
will not step out of their car.
Epstein would be plus 90 if it was polled in Israel. True. That's how we know it's not polled in Israel. You're right, Chatter. Why would
Mr. Arafat, I'm asking you to flip a coin.
Ross Barker says, I had a very good conversation with a very prominent right-wing person recently. Won't say who it is, but it was for a book I'm doing. And he said flat out, conservatives who do not know how to hit Zohran Mamdani, they're outflanked the way Trump used to outflank the left. Yeah.
I think that's right. I think that
they don't know because he's doing the
Trump.
method.
Trump supported the Iraq war. Trump was like, we need
method.
1 million dead Iraqis. And then he's like 10 years later, he's like, actually, we went into Iraq. It was an awful mistake, and it worked for him. It worked. It didn't matter that he was lying. Partly because it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. Look at what Tucker is doing and what Zero Dems are doing. Yeah, I mean, Tucker Carlson visiting the Palestinian refugees in Qatar who were wounded during the Israeli genocide in Gaza.
And by the way, people around the world see this. I think that it's one of the things that I actually really resent about the people don't know who Tucker Carlson. If you don't know who Tucker Carlson is by now, you're a fucking rube. It's like, all right, I'm sorry that 7 billion people around the world did not watch Crossfire in the 2000s,
or like his 2016 run on Fox News where he's on a tear about leaning into straight up white supremacist narratives.
Yeah, no, when he was doing his nightly,
and he won that too. The Republican Party does great replacement theory messaging with regular frequency. When at a time when Tucker Carlson was doing it, he was first to market in such a position of prominence, right? That was a big deal, guys. That was a big deal when Tucker Carlson did that shit. I remember I covered it. I covered it extensively. That was new, and now it's no longer an issue at all for many prominent Republicans.
Oh, you're talking shit about Abraham Lincoln, really?
Yeah.
Okay, go off.
The smears aren't working with Zoran either. Yeah, I mean, it's not, of course.
Yeah, I actually think that this is like Zoran is kind of a good way of illustrating this, where it's this isn't about glazing Zoran, but it's about how if you occupy a certain kind of lane, which is to say that you don't really, you don't really give in all that much, you still you still have dinner with Mahmoud Khalil and so forth, and you still represent that your position on the issue, your positions on this issue have not really changed.
It doesn't work on Plattner either.
Exactly, it doesn't work, and so they're now they're running scared, and that's part of why this is, by the way, this is the same reason, by the way, they don't know how to hit. They really have no idea how to hit a Carlson or Fuentes. Because it's the same problem.
Yeah. This is disgusting. Matt Bennett. Third Way Matt. This is disgusting. Third Way Matt getting retweeted by Reagan Battalion. I mean, that's it. That's all you need to see.
Yeah, center left. Center left.
Yeah. This kind of, center left shit slingers, dude. Oh my God. I think if Democrats are smart, which they're not, many of them are not, unfortunately. Many of them are very biased, right? Many of them are also totally invested in what Trump is doing in Iran. But if Democrats actually want to win, this is not even about embracing someone like myself. I don't give a shit. I've said that already. It's worse for my quote unquote brand. If I don't really necessarily care about that sort of thing, but if it's worse for my brand that I associate with Democrats and vice versa, right? And the thing is, if Democrats don't lean in and lead on the anti-Israel issue, they are going to lose the conversation to grifters on the right who will take on that mantle.
Yeah.
And there are those who are doing that already. Another alarm bell that I'm ringing. There were many warnings that I gave to the Democrats, and every single one of them panned out. Every single one of them materialized. Okay? Every single one. And I'm warning again, just as I warned both Ro Khanna and members of the DNC over and over again, if you concede to the Republicans on this stuff, if you concede to the Republicans on the framing of immigrants constituting a national security threat, you're going to lose. If you don't say anything about Israel, if you don't actually decouple from Biden and Biden's Israel policy, you're going to lose. Okay? If you come out and continue to defend Israel in the campaign, you're gonna, if you come out as more militant on America's adventurous policies around the globe, Republicans are going to be able to present themselves as the peace party, and you're going to lose. All of those things happen.
Yeah, like that's a good like Trump has started the Iran war, and there is a real chance that in 2028 a Republican candidate for president could plausibly run as a peace candidate. I'm not saying they are a peace candidate. I'm not saying that they're right,
Yes.
obviously, but it's that they can get away with it. And it's partly because like Democrats will just like lie and roll over on this messaging every time, but also because the last time Democrats were in power, and a presidential administration that like they haven't appropriately rejected, not unlike every aspect of the Biden administration, but particularly its foreign policy. There's now, it's like the stench is still there. It's March of 2026. It's been a year and a half since the election, and it's unbelievably confusing how, what the Democratic position, what a Democratic party position is supposed to be about what it is that, what exactly is our foreign policy here?
Yeah.
Is it just a nicer Trumpism essentially?
Yeah, it's like Trump, but like with the appropriate process. What Trump is doing is good. It's just we don't like the way he's doing it. We don't like the way he's conducting himself. And like, you don't understand. People voted for Trump to behave in this unorthodox manner. Okay. If you're just simply defending the process, you come across as an institutionalist at a time when people are demanding that the institutions fall apart. You don't read the room and you don't have an adequate line of defense. If you concede to the actions that Trump is committing, where you justify it, where you say like, oh, well, Iran is a ruthless, tyrannical government. Of course, we're happy that like the Ayatollah is assassinated, but we just don't like the way he went about it. Well, you're a idiot then. Like, you're literally telling everyone that you agree with Donald Trump and he did the brave thing, and he did it in a way where it was much more successful than whatever wishy-washy centrist you were going to do.
Also, it is like, I think some of it is like process is not, I will say this, I have a slightly more generous interpretation of some of the process stuff, which is that I believe that liberals go to the process critique because of not necessarily an opposition on the moral grounds, but because for the last quarter century, even with the disaster of the Iraq war and so on, the left in this country has never been given the grace of, of setting a foreign policy agenda, even in opposition, right? It's always been, different shades of neocon thought, I think, arguably. And so to me, there is this like, I don't know how, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Like, to me, there isn't the process. Actually, here's how I'd put it. The process critique, it's, when you're rummaging around in the drawer for how you're going to respond to something, it's the biggest tool. It's the first thing that your hand finds. And part of like what the obligation is of people who, think correctly and have political ideals that you agree with is that they've just got to make their answers the biggest, best, most appealing, and only useful response to the crisis. How much agency people actually have to make that the case, I have no idea. That's it's the test of politics. But it is, to me, the only way in which you are able to win people over is to convince them, no. It's forget the process stuff. You've got to just like say that more war is bad. Putting plowshares into bombs is bad. We're destroying our way of life. You've got to open people up to this a bigger, more developed, I think, understanding of what a left foreign policy could be, other than just, tepid opposition to what the Republicans do when they're in power, and then soft continuations of their policy when Dems are in power.
Yeah. And here is the perfect representation of Democrats not taking ownership over this unimaginably popular bipartisan idea amongst the base of support, and a right-wing grifter taking advantage of that messaging vacuum